Hey, this is the national treasure, Nick Aldis, and you're listening to the All Night Long Wrestling Podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of the All Night Long Wrestling Podcast. We are your host. He's a stallion. I am the enforcer. And usually on this show, we are the only ones with the nickname. However, today, I bask in the glory that is probably the greatest nickname in professional wrestling. Laynie Luck, first of all, thank you for joining the show. And secondly, how did you get the nickname of the two-turned party unicorn?
It took some time, but thank you for having me on the show first. But two-turn, I honestly don't even know where two-turn came from. I think it was just, I said turnt a lot, and I said, let's make some alliteration, let's make it happen. A party unicorn just evolved from being a unicorn to a party unicorn.
Why not? Yeah, I watched one of your matches recently. It was you versus Chris Statlander, and it was like the battle of just the best nicknames ever. Now, I know you don't know me too well, but if by the end of this you could have a cool nickname for me like that, I don't mean to put you on the spot. As of right now, I have Lazy Water Buffalo. So if you have anything, yeah, that's what I'm going with. So if you have anything better than that, let me know later on.
All right, I'll keep it up here. We'll try to see if something comes up.
Perfect. Well, first and foremost, we're in the middle of Corona Mania. It is still running wild. How are you dealing with it? What are you doing? How are you staying sane?
Well, I wouldn't say I'm exactly staying sane, but we're trying.
Touché.
And honestly, just trying to keep a routine as much as possible. Just focusing on the future and doing things now that will help me then. Even though it's not going to help me next week, I may not have a show this weekend. I may not have a show in 2 months, but I will eventually have another show to be on and be ready for.
Sure. Is this, I believe you started wrestling about 2014, 2015. Is this the longest you've gone without performing?
Yeah, absolutely. I haven't gone more than maybe a week since I started.
Wow. So 3 months, 3.5 months, it's officially I'm going stir crazy season, right?
Yeah, I am always trying to get Jeff to do stuff with me to do a lucha spot or just do something.
Whatever can keep, like you said, keep the mind going and just prepare for the long run. Because although the good news is it seems like we're turning the corner here. I don't know how it is where you are. Are we opening things up yet? Are we able to wrestle?
No, we're definitely not anywhere close to being able to wrestle. I think we're in phase 2 right now. Non-essential businesses just opened back up, but it's still no more groups, no more people than 10 people, etc., stuff like that. I do know a couple shows in the Midwest area that are trying to reach out for June shows and stuff, but I just don't see it happening.
I saw actually Kurt Stallion post, I think it's somewhere in Texas, they're doing a drive-through movie pro wrestling. So there are 2 guys in the ring and the cars pull up and watch. And I'm like, that's genius.
Great. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's such a good idea. It's BYOB and bring your own food. I mean, and watch wrestling. What's better than that?
They actually have already ran a show in Texas, a regular show. So.
Really?
Yeah.
Texas,
they had 25% capacity, but I don't know how much that is, how many people that is, but they ran a show.
Yeah, nobody's checking. All right, we're 25%. I'm not turning away money at the door. And Texas kind of lives by their own rules. Is that safe to say?
So I knew if someone was going to run first, it was going to probably be Texas.
Texas or Florida, I feel like was the other one. Florida's kind of wilding out too. I don't know if I know AEW is on right now. I heard rumors that there's going to be fans there tonight. I don't know what.
Really? Fans?
Did somebody posted online that they were tested for COVID as they entered the arena? I don't know.
Okay,
who knows what to believe, but
that's
Florida's.
I would love shows to come back. They just need testing. That's it.
Come on. I agree. Now, have you watched any of the quote unquote empty arena wrestling? Have you kept up with it, or is it kind of just this sucks? I'm depressed.
It's just a huge bummer. Without the crowd and without the energy, it's just hard. I think the only thing I've watched consistently is I'll watch any Kylie Ray match that's on or Chris Statlander. If they're having matches, I'm watching them, but no one else can get me to suffer through a no crowd match.
Suffer through, strong words. So have you seen the Boneyard match or the Firefly Funhouse match?
Yeah, like stuff like that. That's great. I love cinematic matches. But just in an empty arena where you're still trying to play to a crowd that's not there. Oh, I can't do it. It hurts.
Yeah, and like the guys on like Raw and SmackDown have a microphone and they're talking to the like, why do you have a microphone? There's nobody there.
Why do you have a
if you talk from here to here, I can hear you. It's like you don't need the microphone.
Yeah, it's so awkward.
I'm hoping things get back to normal soon. New York is the tightest of them all here, and we're just turning into phase 1. So maybe I'll be able to go back to the gym by December. I have no idea, but I mean, the coronavirus has taken so much as wrestling fans. It's taken. Just for Joe and I alone, we had like Ring of Honor tickets, we had Shine tickets, we had tickets to AEW Prudential Center and all that stuff. And, it's not going to happen. I know you're trying to find out where to run shows and what stations are going to allow it. Now, for you as a professional wrestler, WrestleMania weekend is the biggest weekend of the year, right? Isn't that pretty much where everybody makes the bulk of their money? So what did you have planned for that weekend that was, I not the cards?
Going to be at it feels like so long ago now.
It's like 3 months. It's crazy.
Texas Forever show that I was really excited to be on. I was going to tag with Alley Cat because we tagged together when we were training in Texas and whatever. So we're going to bring that back together. And where the heck else? I feel like I had like 3 bookings, and I was just going to show up to a lot of places. I was so excited to just like watch everything too, like Pancakes and Pile Drivers and Joey Janela's Spring Break. Like I just wanted to be there,
Yeah, those are the craziest shows. We were there last year when it was in 2 years ago when it was in New Jersey, and you literally did not know what to expect. So
yeah.
Now let's rewind it. Let's bring it back. So now you're in Chicago right now, you said?
Yes.
And how you got your start in Austin, Texas, I believe, right?
Yes, I did start.
So you were wrestling about 5 years?
In September it'll be 5 years.
Oh, well, happy early anniversary. Hopefully you could celebrate it in the ring the way you should.
Oh, that would be the dream. Let's hope so.
Yeah, for sure. So were you a fan of professional wrestling growing up, or like the traditional question, or is this like, I'm really good at this and I want to be a wrestler? Or was it like, oh my God, this is my boyhood, Shawn Michaels childhood dream?
No, I watched it when I was like little. Like my mom was a huge rock fan and my dad liked it. So we watched it every now and then, but we weren't like crazy about it or anything. And then it wasn't cool during middle school or high school. I didn't watch it or pay attention. Wasn't even aware. But when I moved back down to Texas after graduating high school in Oregon, I met my ex-husband, and he had been a huge fan his whole life. Like, he never missed a show. He went to a whole bunch of live shows. And so I started watching it every now and then with him, and I was like, oh, these divas are kind of cool. And then we went to a live show called ACW, Anarchy Championship Wrestling, in Austin, Texas. And I saw Barbie Hayden and Athena wrestle, and I was like, I got to do this.
And Barbara Hayden, she's definitely, she's been around a lot in the independent scene. She always put on good matches. And, it's kind of one of those things where you have to be there and you have to experience it. And you're like, wait a second, I think I can do this. So How did watching that match fast forward go to you actually starting to train? Was that a tough transition for you?
No, I've always been like athletic. Like I played soccer all 4 years of high school, and I've always been like doing stuff, and I like going to the gym, and I was like weightlifting before I started wrestling. So I was like, physically, I was like ready for it.
And then how about mentally? Was that tougher for you if you were an athlete all your life and the gym stuff and the cardio that's there? It's the mental part that I think a lot of people, especially fans, don't understand.
It was just like the more theatrical part and just like letting yourself be comfortable, because it's just so obvious when you're uncomfortable. It's so obvious. And so just getting comfortable with like what you're doing and who you are and what you bring to the table and stuff like that, that's what I feel like is the hardest part of it.
And it's funny, you said it's so obvious when you're uncomfortable, which is probably the reason why you hate the empty arena wrestling, because you could tell the performers, most of them are just super uncomfortable performing in front of like just stands. And I think that's maybe what comes across on TV. If you don't believe in it 100% yourself, the fans are going to realize that.
Yeah, and it's like it's just so much easier with the fans because they give you so much, and to just not have that there is huge lacking.
Yeah, and I'm not, behind the curtain. I don't know anything, but I mean, you react to the fans, and that's
Exactly.
how a lot of people, read how the matches goes. And if something, you go to the well if it works, right? So if there's no fans there, you're like, I think this is working. It's like
How do you?
You can't like read your tweets live. You can't be like, oh, they do like this on Twitter. It's like you just go out there and you do your thing. So that's a great point, especially for the energy too, and even for like the the emotion and stuff. So, well, like we said, let's hope that comes back sooner rather than later. But you talked about Anarchy Wrestling. Is that where you had your first match? How long did you train before you actually competed in your first match?
I think I was training for like 7 or 8 months, maybe. I had my first match at my training school, so. I mean, if you count that as like your first show, your first match or whatever. But my first outside of training match was at RCW in San Antonio. I think I was tagging, it was me and Alley Cat tagging against Delilah Doom and Paige Turner, maybe? That sounds right.
You and Alley Cat seem to have quite the strong bond over there in Texas.
Yeah, I mean, when I started training, I was the only girl there for, 6 months, and then Alley Cat came along, and I said, thank God, let's go. So I was just on her, trying to get her ready for her first show so I could stop having to wrestle dudes because I wanted to have a women's match,
Sure. And it's like, the not really almost friendly competition where you guys are there to motivate each other, and, you do better and it forces her to do better. So you kind of each up your game, and that's 100%. Pretty cool stuff.
And she was always really good, like with the character side of stuff. And like, she's been a fan her whole life. Like she's been a huge fan of wrestling her whole life. So she knows everything. She's got a lot of knowledge up there. So it was really great to have her there for like that side of things. Like I could bring her up on like the physical stuff that I had already learned in the 6 months before she got there, but she had like all this prior knowledge to help me out, like character wise and move wise and stuff like that.
So you guys really are the perfect tag team because you fill, you pick each other up. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, a lot, like I said, we're from the Northeast, so there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the Midwest and the West that we aren't too familiar with over here. You've done a lot of work with Booker T's Reality Wrestling.
Yeah.
That school, talk about what that means, because I think, like in the East Coast, you have, your Team 3D Academy, and you have, of course, the Performance Center, and you have QD Marshall School and stuff like that. But Booker T has turned out some fantastic talent in his promotion. So what is that, being able to wrestle there? What is that like?
It's really sick. Like the first time I was there was like an experience. Like call time is like 2 p.m. when the show doesn't start till like 7 or 8. I don't even remember at this point. And it's just, they got 2 rings in the back room and then like the show ring. And so it's like everyone has all this room and time to go over stuff, and you get called in the booker's office before the show starts, and he gives you the rundown like a one-on-one, and he wants to hear your ideas, and he'll tell you if that's stupid or if that shit sucks. And so
don't do that,
Yeah, exactly, absolutely. And then just to like have him like watch your match and you get feedback from Booker T, like that's crazy to have that kind of knowledge like thrown at you. Like that's such a cool opportunity. I love it there. Like I feel like home there. They're definitely family.
That's awesome. And you think clearly Booker T, the Hall of Famer, he runs the show that way because that's similar to what you're going to get when you get it to the WWE and the NXT. You don't show up at 6:30 for a 7 o'clock show. You're there at, 11 a.m., getting your workout in, getting this, getting that, and all that kind of stuff. So it's really kind of a preparation for that next stage.
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
So now, not only Reality Wrestling, and they turned out, I think Ember Moon came from there, correct?
Yes, she did.
Yeah, Ember Moon wrestles there. Gino Medina from...
Shout out Gino. I love Gino.
from MLW, see Booker T. You know, he's definitely cultivating talent down there in Texas. Now, another promotion that you wrestle with is Rise. Rise is another one that a lot of people talk about because it's very comparable to the Shimmer, very comparable to the Shine. And Rise is an all-women's promotion, and they have a plethora, I think I'm using that word right, of talent. So how does wrestling on a show like Rise, where it's strictly an all-female show, compared to wrestling on a regular show where there might be a couple of women's matches and men's matches on it?
I mean, that aspect is like a show's a show kind of to me. But it is really cool to like be around so many hardworking women and so many women who have been successful and like are happy to help and want you to succeed as well. Like, it's just such a good environment to be in. And the fans too, like they know that Rise is like the feeder to like Shimmer, etc. Like they know that this is like these greener, newer girls' first opportunities. And so they're really encouraging and just like a really positive fan base to perform for.
And I think the fans take pride in that too, because you might see somebody on Rise for a year or so, and then you're like, oh man, when she's at Shimmer or something like that, you're like, oh, I saw her, I knew her before, and you get that like band thing where you're like, oh, I knew that when
like day one.
LP
I
came.
was there day one. Let's go.
Exactly, day one, son, day one, exactly.
Yeah.
So how now? Recently, I think it was last October, you competed for Impact Wrestling's All Glory. Impact Wrestling was doing some really cool stuff where they live streamed these events on Twitch, and they partnered with a lot of other promotions. The live stream was free, so there was no reason not to watch it, and it was such a good platform for other independent wrestling promotions to get the what are they called, like the Impact dust, right? Get the rub from Impact, just to get on there on Twitch. So talking about who's who on the show, you wrestled Shotzi Blackheart and Kylie Ray. Like, Kylie Ray was fresh off her AEW dismissal, if you will, or she quit AEW, she left. And Shotzi had wrestled on the WWE Network for the Evolve show. So it's like, you're at that point, was that the biggest match of your career with the most exposure?
Oh yeah, for sure. And I was super excited that Impact was doing stuff like that and like just giving opportunities to people to like be seen with the free stream and stuff like that. And I mean, like, I've had a bunch of matches with Kylie and Shotzi. So like for me to be in that big of a setting, it was so like comforting for me that it was those two that I was in the ring with.
And not for nothing, you also defended your Zelo Pro Women's title and won the match. Like, it's you, Shotzi, and Kylie Ray, and that must have been huge for you. So, and I think there's a certain level of, confidence that a promotion has in you to put you in that spot when you're like, all right, the most amount of people and 2 champions, go. It's like, okay, yeah, I can do this, sure, no problem.
Yeah, it felt like it was really cool, like, to know that they had that trust in me. And for, like, the crowd, like, obviously they knew Kylie and Shotzi way more than me. Like, they did, there was a big local Chicago base there, but, like, a lot of Impact people, they had no idea who I was. And I feel like by the end of the match, like, they understood why I was keeping the title, and they were there for it. Sure.
I'm sure the Twitter followers went up after that show, and the Instagram followers. Yeah. Exactly. And now, Impact Wrestling has been the punchline of a lot of jokes for a long time, and I think within the last 2 or 3 years it hasn't really been warranted. Impact has done some really good stuff as far as the Knockouts division. They just signed Kimberly. They just signed Deonna Purrazzo. So, somebody who's had dealings with Impact Wrestling, is that kind of is that a destination that you're looking to go?
Oh, absolutely. Impact would be like the dream locker room to join right now. Like, I don't know if you can hear this train going by, but it's very loud.
It's okay. I have 3 dogs that usually bark every single time. So
but I would, Impact would be like my number one go-to place right now. Like, all the women there are just so good and just such good women. Like, it'd be an honor to join our locker room.
And it's talented. And the thing about Impact is, they definitely give all their Knockouts division matches time. And they have such an important spot on the card. And the WWE does too, but I'm not trying to knock the WWE, but a lot of times it feels forced. Like they're forcing women into this position, not necessarily because they think it's the right thing to do in the card, but that's really what they have to do. Impact is like, no, our women's division is awesome. They put on great matches. So here's 15 minutes or here's, 12 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, they get like real stories and real time to draw out these stories, and it's not just like a 2-week long thing. Like, yeah, they do right by them for sure.
Yeah, like, oh, you turned on me because I'm jealous of so and so, and they do it like that. It's like the Sue Young thing with Havoc, and like they put time and effort into that. So I would love to would love to see that happen eventually at some point. I know they're doing the empty arena matches too, so fingers crossed. We'll definitely well, I hope they continue doing that Twitch, and they're intermingling with the other promotions. I think it was really good for them, and I think it showed a lot of faith, in the fan bases too, because Impact had done a lot to lose their fans, unfortunately, and I think they're coming back now, and they're putting on really consistent shows. Like, but I mean, if you would have told me Disco Inferno was wrestling in 2020, I'd be like, I'm not watching that shit. Right? But then you watch a show and you're like, Disco had a good match, It's like,
yeah.
I hope we see it sooner rather than later. Now, somebody who has, let's say somebody's never seen you wrestle before, and you are going to put together a highlight of yourself for them. What 3 matches do you put on that highlight?
I would put the 3-way match that we just talked about, that triple threat for sure. It's a good classic. There is a really good, I would put them on, me and Elena, our last singles match at Freelance. That was great. The Freelance crowd, amazing.
Really
Doesn't
great crowd.
Get much better than that.
Sure.
And last but not least, what else would I do? Probably one of the scrambles I was in, just so they can see like the wild shit that I can sprinkle in that maybe in a normal match I wouldn't be able to.
Fair enough. Well, I will definitely scour the tube of you and see what we can come up with and share it out there. Now, earlier today, or maybe it was yesterday, you had a post wearing a certain T-shirt of a certain Hall of Famer. Now, I want to let you know that Joe and I have been friends for probably 20 years, and there's always something that drives a spike right through that friendship. And that something is, if you had to choose one, all time, dead or alive, top 5, number 1, is it Bret Hart or is it Shawn Michaels?
Oh man, Jeff's gonna be mad at me if he hears this. Shawn Michaels.
Well, come on, you had the picture with Bret Hart. What happened? You were wearing the Bret Hart shirt.
It's Jeff's. He has a lot of old cool shirts. I'm just taking pictures in them.
This is unbelievable. I mean, we've probably asked, I don't know, like 100 people.
A lot. I don't pit them against each other in my heart. So
I do, because I'm bitter. And I'll tell you, we've had like 100 people, probably close to 100 people on the show, and I think 3 people are Team Bret Hart. It's
well, if you get Jeff on the show, he'll be number 4.
Well, no, I'm sending an email because frankly, I can't stand losing like this anymore. But last before I let you go, you've wrestled so many great women out there and guys too. Is there anybody that you watch their stuff and you're like, man, I would really love to get in the ring with X?
Oh, all the time. There's always people that I'm just like, oh my gosh, we would do so good. The list is just far too long, but I feel like priority-wise, I definitely need some time with Penelope Ford. Like, we've been in maybe 2 matches together, but like done like one thing with each other because it was always multiple people. So we've never gotten to like really fight. Oh wait, did we have a singles in Nova? But I wasn't Lucha Laynie back then. I was. So we're a new person.
It doesn't count.
With her. And then I really want a singles with Blake Christian. I know you said more women, but I just feel like he's crazy and he could put me through a lot of crazy stuff. And I want to get crazy.
Okay. Interesting. Penelope Ford. I think that's a really good one. I hadn't thought about that matchup. She's Penelope Ford, somebody that's really stepped up her game, I would say, like in the last year and a half or 2 years too. So that's Well, let's see what happens. I know it's we got a couple of months left in 2020. So if we want to do like the Cody Rhodes bucket list and the checklist, maybe we can
right
have on there. Yeah, for sure. So where can people follow you? The Pro Wrestling Tees store, all the social media. Give us everything.
So Pro Wrestling Tees /Laynie Luck, or you can go patreon.com/Laynie Luck, and Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all at Laynie Luck.
Well, Laynie Luck, thank you so much for joining the show tonight. We really appreciate it. And I have to know, did you come up with a cool nickname for me?
I didn't. I'm so sorry. I need more time for these.
You know what? That's okay. You can send us a tweet if you came up with one. You're like, he looks like a hippo. I'll accept it. I'll take the hippo. So,
all right. I'll be sure to have a tweet by the end of the month for you.
Perfect. At Laynie Luck, guys. Thank you so much for your time, Laynie, and best of luck to you. And stay safe. And we hope to see you in the ring very, very soon.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you.
Best friends.